All right, we're looking at the Eagles offense once again. The Eagles were able to dominate the NFC last season, and a lot of people were wondering, like, how did they go about just dismantling a lot of teams? And obviously, they had a dynamic running quarterback who can definitely create fits for anybody, but a lot of teams have running quarterbacks. So what was it that made the Eagles so hard to beat? One, they have an offensive line that's, good. From every man across the line is pretty good, and along with Kelsey as well. But they were giving defenses fits. We don't have to look at the running game because, the running game is tough to beat as it stands. And Hurts is as tough as they come when it comes to running the football as a quarterback. Pretty strong. That quarterback sneak, yeah, about 10 touchdowns off of that alone. A lot of, and then they have offensive line that can just eat eight-man boxes alive. Pause. So it's just tough to stop a team that can run this effective even when you load the box, right? So what is it, though, that made the Eagles so much better than everybody else in the NFC last year? Obviously they have a quarterback that can run away from you. Lamar Jackson-esque, but with an arm who, actually throws a little bit better, has a deep ball, pretty accurate deep ball. But what were the Eagles doing? And I looked at Steichen, who's over at the Colts now, the head coach for the Colts, who was their offensive coordinator last year. And I wanted to see what was he employing that was working so effectively. And what it was a lot of quick, easy reads. A lot of times, Hurts didn't really have to do anything but read one side of the field like you see here because all the routes were converging to the same side. Or you would see a lot of ISO plays that were set up for him to take advantage of. Because as you can see, there was a touchdown opposite side of that field had he saw it. They get the ball out of his hands pretty quick on most of these routes. And they're also looking to take advantage of the fact that he can put some touch on the ball deep if it need be. But sometimes he makes the wrong read, like I would say he did there, although he was effective. He got the completion. That read was I don't think he noticed that corner rolling up underneath that route until late, but he still got that ball in there, and that was pretty good. But with an offensive line like this one, it's pretty hard to beat the Eagles, man. Kelsey, I love his game. He's evil. He's smart. He's definitely a guy that they're happy to have back in the 2023 season because he's not a guy that you can just replace. You can't just replace him. A lot of the things that the Eagles were doing with the misdirection stuff, the side-to-side stuff, horizontal plays, open it up so that they can get those little quick ISO slants and things like that on the back end of those plays because the run is so effective. They're able to get those plays in. Like here, you see a little ISO play to Devontae Adams on the left side of the screen. What that does, or what these little quick plays do, it's designed to bring the defense to the line of scrimmage and also get the ball into their playmakers' hands early. So if they break a big play, great. You get credit for that. These are yak design plays. You know what I mean? Get the ball in your playmakers' hands early. The run is very important because it creates a lot of attention away from the pass game. And then, get the ball in your playmakers' hand in space and let them do their thing. You'll see here that's really what they want to do. They want to get the ball out there quick to run it. They don't care who catches the ball, running backs, tight ends, whoever. Everybody gets a chance in the pass game quick and easy. And once the coordinator sees that you're actually sitting on these routes like they see here, you would think that KC should be happy about these plays, right? Where they're blowing guys up, you're running down to the line of scrimmage and you're tearing the Eagles up. And you're like, well, how are they still beating you after you're doing that? Because you see, even in the 49ers game, although they didn't have a quarterback that was healthy, Eagles did a good job of hurting everybody. But they were sitting on these routes, pressing and then driving, right? And they were effective early doing that against the Eagles. So how do the Eagles even overcome that? And the way they do is once they see that, they're actually happy that you're doing it because now they know once you're blitzing and sitting, they have all the space they need to throw the deep ball. And that's what they really want to get to for Hurts. They don't want Hurts having to try to dissect guys underneath. That's why they design everything underneath because they don't want him having to think when it comes to the routes underneath. Anything underneath, we're going to throw it quick. You know what you're going to do before the play even starts. Hurts, you don't have to read anything. You will look at this play. Every route on this play is just a decoy route. One's to take the safety away. This guy's job was to screen Gilmore. And then you see this is how you can tell this is a design play because you can see what Kelsey's doing. Kelsey knows what this is. So he runs out there immediately. He knows, okay, that ball's supposed to be out, so I'm going to run. So it's not a legal man downfield. He timed it in his clock. He runs down, and he gets his hands on the linebacker so that AJ can, get that 23-yard reception. You know what I mean? But these are worked into the offense. So Shane Steichen has done a great job of making it so that Hurts does not have to think when it comes to anything short. Right? Everything short is designed and predetermined. And once you start to do that, once you start to come down and try to take that away, he also uses screens and deploys screens so that, okay, even if you want to come down here and flash, we got an offensive line that has some firepower, right? So there's a lot that you have to think about when dealing with the Eagles. Once you start to over-engage with those, you have things like this that open up on the back end. But once a defense is sitting on these guys effectively, once you sit on the Eagles effectively, they know they have a lot of space behind you for the deep ball. There's another screen they were attempting to do there. So some of these plays that you would think that, are just normally designed plays, they're screens waiting to develop that never got off, right? Like this one here. This is a screen that never developed because the defensive end just stays with Goddard on this one. That was just a heads-up play. But a lot of these plays that the Eagles are running, like none of those routes on the back end are even for anything other than moving the defense where they want them because they're not intending to target any of those guys deep. And they won't until you start to engage or over-engage your men and your resources to the line of scrimmage. Other than that, until you do, they're going to throw underneath and take whatever you give them underneath all day. And that's their identity. When it comes to running the ball, you already know they're going to power run you all day. But that's also just to bring you to the line of scrimmage so that they can take those shots later on once the defense is fully committed and their eyes are downfield. If you have a defense that not only can take away the run effectively up front, you have the personnel to take away the run up front, you're good. But you also need to be able to make sure you have the corners and safety or the secondary to be able to man up one-on-one at times downfield because you're going to have to because they're going to take their shots at you and they're going to do it constantly, with so much aggression and consistency that, eventually something's going to stick because you'll see a lot of these deep shots aren't even effective. I mean, he's not hitting on them. He doesn't need to hit on all of them because they'll take about 7 to 10 of them a game and they only need 2. They only need to connect with 2 of them to blow the game open. So, you have to be prepared for these one-on-ones on the outside. And if you don't have the secondary to deal with the Eagles, you're in trouble. If you don't have the run game to deal with them, they're going to just slow walk you all day with the run game and beat you. If you have a secondary and no, run defense, they're going to run it, a slow game, right? If you have the run defense but no secondary, they're going to wait for you to start crowding the line to stop the run, and they're going to abuse your secondary later in the game. So there's like a pick your poison effect to the way they deploy their offense. And I was impressed by the fact that it was simple, but they were so consistent at it that they didn't stray away from what their strengths were. And they found a way to use that offensive line as I said, as a superpower because that offensive line is definitely a weapon. And when you deploy a lot of screens that make it so that they get to get out in the space and get their hands on safeties and corners and linebackers, they love that. Kelsey and those guys love that. So this is the Eagles scheme, though. And you can see, and I didn't take this from one game. I watched 7 games to kind of determine what they like to do. These rub routes, when they're in obvious passing situations, they deploy these rub routes here. And the reason I call that one a rub is because AJ is only looking to take away both corners. You see that he freed 16 up by just taking those corners away, by just running that stab route right up the middle of the field. Here you'll see 3 is just trying to reroute the linebacker, which he does effectively. And now that linebacker had to take a different angle. Instead of going horizontally, he had to go down. He had to drive on the ball rather than kind of flow over the top. And that's why Devontae Adams got that pass in there. You'll see that happen a lot, though. Here you'll see 3 again coming to get in the way of Gilmore, so that, AJ can get open on this play. Although this one didn't get off, you can see he's not running a route. So these are not routes that are being run. These are one-man routes. So Hurts knows where the ball is going before the play even starts. He does not have to make a decision. He does not have to think. And, I got a lot of heat on Twitter for saying that, but I wasn't saying it to hate on him. I was saying it because that's truly how their scheme is designed. He does not have to do a lot of thinking back there with the football. The play action here takes away those linebackers, and it opens up everything between the safety and those linebackers so that he doesn't have to think. He knows where that ball's supposed to go. And those other two routes on the outside, he would have never thrown there. You can see they were already blocking before the ball got released because those receivers knew AJ's getting this ball on this deep crosser because that's a cover one killer. Here, you'll see a tight end there. His job was just to get in the way of Gilmore and screen Gilmore so Gilmore can't get to this dig route, and so on and so forth. That's pretty much what the Eagles deploy and what they do over and over and over again. So there's very few times you're going to see Hurts actually dropping back and just trying to figure out based off post-snap like what this defense is doing and where I should go with the football. He knows where he's supposed to go. If it's not there, he hits that check down. That check down's not there, he takes off. That's pretty much it, and that's what he does most games. But it's so effective because, at the end of the day, it's a lot to think about for a defense because you still have to actually be able to stop these things. You have to have a defense that's well-rounded to be able to stop the Eagles. You can't just be a good run defense to think you're going to beat them because they still can throw the ball deep. He does have a good deep ball, and they will take their shots deep, over and over and over again if you're crowding the line of scrimmage. He doesn't do a lot of reading. He does have time in the pocket, and what I saw late, and you'll see this later in this film, when you don't bother to rush him, you actually have a better chance than you do actually blitzing him and coming after him. And I'll show you why. Here he uses his feet to move the safety, and they love this play. You'll see this in the Super Bowl too. He uses his feet to move the safety, whether it's a play action or a sprint. He sprints out there, and then that opens up that angle so he can throw to the far post. And he loves that post route, right? He does that a lot. Here he didn't get the ball off, obviously, because he got stripped, but you'll see it in the Super Bowl. He did this with A.J. Brown. What I don't like about the selection on these plays or what he does on this play here is you have a linebacker on Devontae Adams. That's the obvious read, and instead he elects to throw it into double coverage, and that's how you know whoever's called, it's like Ron Burgundy, whoever's called as the primary on a particular play, that's where he's going with the ball. Regardless, he's not looking to see what else is there. He just throws that ball to AJ anyway, and AJ bails him out, fortunately, because he catches that ball. But because of that, he does it too consistently. I think he went to that well too many times because this is double coverage again, and you have Goddard wide open. He overlooks Goddard and just says, "Okay, we're doing the same thing to AJ again because it worked the first time." But those safeties were ready for it every other time he did it, and I think the Eagles could have won this game. They could have won the Super Bowl had they just been a little more patient and had they read the field a little bit better, or a lot better, when it came to a lot of those things that we saw on film. Here, I know 16 wants this one back because that was a good throw from Hurts on his back foot. I thought he got the ball off well, and I thought that was like just a great pass there. You got to catch that, man, especially in a big moment like that. That's how you become like a David Tyree type of guy. They also use those comeback routes to set up for double moves, things like that. We do that a lot. We ran 4 hitch routes like crazy. I think that's a going joke in the Cowboy world. But they will set you up for double moves off of this, especially Devontae Adams. They will come back on those comeback routes and on those arrow routes and then eventually out and up you, or they'll just, do a little sluggo and keep it going. Once you start sitting on them like you see them sitting on this here, that's what they're looking for. They're not getting you to sit on routes and you think you're breaking up plays for them, and all you're doing is letting them know that you're paying attention to the short stuff so they can start getting behind you. Once Hurts is able to effectively dissect what's going on and like dice guys up from the pocket, he's going to be even more dangerous because as you can see, what teams were doing in the red zone to kind of stop him, and the reason he doesn't have a lot of red zone passing touchdowns is because once you get in the red zone, all they did was contain him. They don't go after him here because they can't afford letting him slip out and run it big, right? So they just contain him. And when you contain him, he has all the time to make the plays, but he'll overlook certain things and still wind up trying to, stretch it out or, and make a play with his feet because that's what he wants to do. But at the end of the day, if you have this kind of time in the pocket for any quarterback, you should be killing teams in the air as well. And I saw that defenses were electing to just not rush him at all. And that was probably the most effective defense against him. And we need more of this from Hurts. That's what you want to see right there. Just stand in the pocket and deliver. You know what I mean? But most of the time when teams elected to just contain, he sat in the pocket and didn't really make a decision from the pocket. He looks to get out in space to try to make things happen. And that's good that they were able to make that play there, but eventually he's going to have to start to make better decisions from the pocket. And when they do, the Eagles are going to be almost impossible to beat. But look at this type of time, and his ability to run makes it so that nobody bothers to rush him, because that's when he's most dangerous. And when they don't rush him, that's actually the better way to stop him is by not doing anything at all, coming after him at all, to be honest with you. That's pretty much the way the Eagles played, man. And hopefully, they're able to bounce back this year after losing their offensive coordinator. But this is AKOYE. I'm out. Peace.